Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back. Today we got quite a bit of stuff to go over, so lock in. So, let's do a quick synopsis of, well, not a synopsis, but a what the hell do they call that in the beginning of books? I don't know, fucking god damn it. I can't remember what the name for that's called, but we have essentially Eric and Laura Trump getting asked the hard questions. Now, will they answer in the way that they should be answering, or will they answer the PR Donald Trump is my dad type thing, right? And then our next one is Ms. Kiff's lawsuit. He is filing a lawsuit, I'm assuming against OTK, or I'm assuming against Emiru. So then we have some depression. We have the video that I saw, I think it was in the last patch notes or the one before that, where it was why we can't stop hating ourselves, and it's using a silent voice as the material. So you know your boy's gonna watch that with how important that movie was to my life. Next we have this one, why I moved from Canada to the US and don't regret it. So shout out to all the Canadians that I'm probably going to offend today. And then lastly,
Thanks
we
very
have
much.
this old ass motherfucker, Bernie Sanders. 1.1 million subs. W Bernie. He said Trump is right, Republicans are in trouble, and he has a message for the Donald. So let's see. A lot of political stuff going on, a lot of lawsuits, a lot of depression. The world's getting fucking crazy out here. So like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. And let's get into the first vidya here. Turn that down just a little bit here.
Guys, this is insane. This is insane. New York needs nothing. You know what New York needs? Safe streets, clean streets, reasonable taxes, and stay the hell out of the way. And New York will be the greatest city anywhere in the world by far. But these people want to destroy it. They want to destroy. Think about a candidate who literally campaigned on the platform of defunding police. I mean, the guy's crazy, right? He hates the Jewish population.
He did switch up on this, by the way. I have looked at some clips of our new mayor, and he has switched his position on this, and he even said it in his victory speech that he is going to be using the police to make the streets safe. So I hope he follows through on it. All the kind of radical agenda stuff that he has going on, I don't give a fuck about, not my state. But if him being in power means that New York City actually becomes safe for once, because like I don't want the guy to listen. I have nothing against Mamdani, right? I'm not for him, I'm not against him, but I do want him to do a good job. Because who knows? Maybe while he is still mayor, I would like to actually go and visit New York. And I would like to go and visit New York knowing I don't have to hide my fucking watch. No, I don't have to fucking keep my cell phone put away. Knowing I don't have to fucking carry a fucking gun around, because I don't know when somebody is going to go full fucking crackhead or robbery on me any second of the day. And you guys have seen on social media how quickly a situation can go from docile, everybody minding their own business, to absolute murder in a matter of seconds, in a matter of minutes. So you have to be prepared for these things, especially when you're somebody like me and you travel alone. I don't like traveling with people. That's more to manage, more to give a shit about. I would rather travel alone than if I have complications, it's on me to fix it, you know?
Population in this country. I mean, he keeps on saying that he wants to arrest Netanyahu if he comes into New York. He hates the Indian population in this country. He says that Modi's a war criminal. He wants to nationalize grocery stores in New York. I mean, other than that, the guy is, you know, is truly brilliant.
I do think it is a good idea to have a cheaper option, right? We have that sort of already, right? Because, like, normally when you go to a grocery store, especially if it's a local store and not a massive chain store like a Walmart, right? Let's say it's a local store. Let's say it's like a Safeway, right? Safeway, fucking tiny compared to Walmart, right? So let's say you have those two stores. Walmart is going to be able to get you bread at $1. What is it now? Like $1.98 for a fucking loaf of bread. In some places, it's even still $1. Safeway isn't going to be able to do that, right? They don't have the infrastructure built around being able to provide you that level of service that quickly, right? Which is why everybody goes to Walmart. If you have a problem where there is no Walmart and the competition is only a bunch of grocery stores that are highly jacked up in price, it is going to cause a lot of people to have trouble getting groceries. And when you live in a big metropolis city, it's not only difficult, it's damn near impossible. Because most of the people in New York that I know from New York don't drive. Some of them I met from New York don't even have a license because they had no use in driving, because it takes you 3 hours to get to one part of the city where you could walk there in 15, 20 minutes. So, I don't know. The way that I see things is, I don't know. It's like a double-edged sword, because it's like, as the mayor, your job should be trying to work with the governor to build lasting solutions to solve certain problems in your major cities, right? Some of the things that I've seen him promise that are good on paper are like a gazillion times above his pay grade. The only way that he could do that would be to have everyone in his corner to help him do it. And I mean the governor, I mean the congressman, I mean influential people like in the cabinet of the government to help push a certain agenda to get those things done, right? Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I hope it goes well, but some of these things, man, I don't see where, as a mayor, how he's gonna get that done. Because, like, I would call them presidential promises, right? Like, they're promises that are above and beyond what your station is. And unless you're the president, you're probably not going to make that happen, right? So, because in order to make a bunch of things free or very, very low in price, and if you're not going to require any working middle class people to pay for it, you have to convince rich people to pay for it. Rich people, more often than not, don't like to throw their money around on things that they don't really care for. So that's going to be some doing. And I know he's a somewhat charismatic guy, but man, I hope he has the sales pitch ready, because he's going to scare these fucking people off. And there's going to be no economy in New York.
Guys, it is incredibly, incredibly scary what's happening in this country. They go out, they promise everything to everyone for free, right? And they're actually getting the vote. And we need to be very, 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 very careful of what's happening there. This is going to destroy a great American city. And
It's your fault. It's your fault. It's Trump's fault. And all the fucking Trump defenders are going to be in the comments. No, it's not. Yes, it is. As the president of the United States and as the closest living relative to that person, your job should be saying, hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Call him on the phone personally. Hey, Dad, look. I'm looking at these young people out here, and these young people, they're fucking starving. Their rent is through the roof. They have no hopes of getting a house. I get that you want to be peacemaker around the world, right? But I got to tell you the hard truth. The hard truth is you're going to lose all these people. All of these people are going to vote you out, and you will lose your majority because they still suffer. And then he's going to say, oh, yeah, well, the economy's doing great. For who? For who? Eggs are still $6, right? Right? Gas is still fucking $3. Gas is still, in some places, still fucking $12, right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Right? Rent is still over $1,000. Lowest end on a good house. Good house. White picket fence, American dream home. 400,000 plus. Right? You want to get a used car off of Facebook Marketplace? $3,000 and it still has issues. You want to get a new car? Forget about it. $125,000. Right? Anything you get below that price range is basically junk. It's got a bunch of plastic, fucking low grade metal parts in it that are just going to rust and break and fall apart at 50,000 miles. And that fucking thing's going to be in the shop more often than you'll be driving it. And that's for most cars. It's insane. And they don't see it, which is why they're losing it, right? All this investment in the country, and where's our fucking paychecks, huh? Where's our paychecks? You're making all this money for the country, huh? You talk about giving people a dividend. You talk about giving people a sort of a plus up payment for the misuse of our tax funded dollars. Where's that at? Where's the economic relief bill that gives every American $3,000 to just fucking chill the fuck out and relax so it offsets how much fucking bullshit we got to put up with while you fix all this? He's focused on outward, outside of the United States. He's focused outward coming in. We want him to focus in and look outward. That's the point. That's the whole point. He was mandated when he came into office to put America first. That's what he ran on. But right now, he's putting the world first, running around playing peacemaker, making a bunch of deals. But economically, those deals do not help Joe Schmo down the block who's going to Target next week to go get a bag of fucking Tyson chicken. Right? That shit's still $12. That shit's still $16 in some places. Right? The fuck we talking about?
We can't allow this. We cannot allow this to spread across this country.
Do your jobs.
The interesting thing to me about that election, too, is that if you believe the exit polls, the majority of the people who actually voted for Mamdani in the New York mayoral race were young women. Where are my ladies at in here today? Okay. Yes, ladies. All right. Now, ladies, we also have a little bit of work to do because, unfortunately, the Democrats think that we are susceptible to all of their crazy ideology. And we got to turn that around. We got to bring the ladies.
He's not wrong about that. He's not wrong. A lot of Democrat politics is very much emotionally driven. which is why women are so like leaning blue. And even to a degree, I would say that like if you took each one of my beliefs into politics, I would definitely lean blue. But I look like I'm fucking far right compared to what blue means now, because that shit's ridiculous. But at the time, the taxing the rich to help the poor, the getting everybody health care, that sounded pretty fucking good to me. you know, um, all these kind of like socialism type agendas that Democrats had and viewpoints that they carried, some of it sounded pretty fucking good, right? I liked the sound of it, right? But in execution, it wasn't great. It was okay, but it was easily taken advantage of. And now, because they threw in with this identity shit, it completely destroyed it. Destroyed the credibility of all of it.
Over to the conservative side of the aisle and show them that God is where it's at, family's where it's at, having kids is where it's at. And as my husband pointed out earlier, you can have them all and a career.
I think that religion and politics should be separate. Never tandem, always separate. That's my thoughts on it. I'm not a Christian. I am not a Christian. I am not a non-believer either, right? I am, and shout out to the rest of y'all who are like me, I am a Norse pagan. I follow two books alone. I follow the Wanderer's Havamal and the Poetic Edda, which I'm reading through the Poetic Edda again. Can you see my little tag right there? Yeah. Hey, let me know down in the comments a good place to get like custom like bookmarks. I think that would be kind of sick. Every time I think about it, I forget about it. So y'all let me know. I was thinking Etsy, but let me know if that's the place to go to get like a custom bookmark made. I want to get a couple of them. But moving on from that, I think that you need to separate certain parts of yourself, right? There are certain parts of yourself that should work in tandem, but not intermittently with one another, right? So you can come to a conclusion through your religion, through your through logical common sense thinking, and through deductive reasoning separately, and use them to kind of check each other, right? Like, for example, I am not going to talk to somebody who, let's say we're talking a serious topic. Let's say we're talking abortion. Say we're talking abortion and somebody presents their argument through religion. I have then a few routes that I can go. I can give them my argument back through logic, using straight up, just what is the common sense answer to this question. I could come at it from an analytical standpoint and just give them the facts. I can come at it from a religious standpoint, and maybe we're differing in religion, but my religion says this about this certain thing that maybe might change your mind a little bit because this is how we see it and this is how you see it, but it could be different, right? And the goal is never to change somebody's mind. It is simply to make them open to the fact that there are multiple layers to the same thing, right? I want them to come out of the conversation looking at it at a more reasonable standpoint rather than being so hard-nosed on one side. think it's the biggest problem nowadays is that nobody wants to hear that somebody has a differing opinion, because then you're on the enemy team. You're on the wrong side. You're blah 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 blah. It's so bullshit. Everybody wants they want their fucking team to win, and it's the dumbest mentality. When it comes to anything complex, right? Whether we're talking politics, religion, fucking anything to do with the human body, right? Psychology, all of that shit. Anything with a massive amount of complexity to it, you have to be open to everything always. You can still have your beliefs, but you need to at least be open enough to hear out the other side. I think this is something that somebody like Charlie Kirk did very well, and that's what pissed people off. People fucking hated him for it because Charlie Kirk was still hard into his faith, into his certain opinions on different topics, but he was always willing to be open to hearing the other side. Even if he didn't believe them for a second, he still wanted to hear from them. Because even in the slightest chance that it pushed him 1% in a different direction, it was still an impact that was made. I think that's something that people need to carry into every conversation. I think the left has the biggest problem with this, but I do think the right is starting to have a problem with this because they are now starting to feel that same pushback that the left has been absolutely getting obliterated by. And pretty soon, everybody is just going to be anti any party, and they're just going to vote the most radical, insane motherfucker into the office.
We have to start doing better with speaking to everyone out there, including young women around this country. But I'll tell you, the thing with that race that scares me is that is the beginning, and that is the new face of the Democrat Party. If you think they're going to stop at New York, you are kidding yourself. It will be all over the United States of America, which is
if you don't do your job.
why we're going to have to fight even harder going forward from here on out, because we can never let this happen ever again in the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Trump, and Ms. Trump. I'd like to ask about your father's relationship with Israel.
Oh boy,
taken over
here we go.
$230 million from pro-Israel groups. During the summer against Iran, even though he advised against it, Israel still attacked Iran, and the U.S. still bombed on behalf of Israel. Your father's frustrations with Netanyahu have been made clear when he cursed on national TV over the situation. Israel has not been a great ally to the U.S. all the way since 1960 when they bombed the USS Liberty.
Hey, hold up, he's cooking.
Israel is a nation where Christians are constantly under attack in both Gaza and the West Bank. We talk about America first and defending Christians, but how can we do this if we align ourselves with a nation that does not do that itself?
Fucking based. I don't know where this man works. I don't know what school he goes to. Give him another grant. Give him a raise at his job. My God. What a fucking question. What a question. I'm actually genuinely curious. We're going to grok it right now. Fact checking time, boys. Let's get into it. Up, 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 up. Okay, I don't know what I did there. All right. Has Israel in the past killed anyone of the Christian Christian faith. Yes. Israel has killed Christians in the past, both intentionally and unintentionally, in the context of military operations, conflicts, and incidents. Spanning decades. Oh my God. This includes civilians, clergy, journalists. Okay, 2002. The Church of the Nativity siege in West Bank. Protective edge in the Gaza war. The killing of Shari Abdul Akleh, prominent Palestinian American Christian journalist. Okay. 2024 incidents in Gaza and Lebanon. Israeli sniper Holy Family Church compound in. Wait, what? A Christian mother and daughter were killed by Israeli sniper fire while seeking shelter. You kidding me? Oh my God. How do you let this go unpunished? So like this was in 2023. Right? So this is the pre-Trump. There's nothing that he could do in this situation. 2024. Same deal. He was still not the president at the time. But we definitely have the intelligence to know that these things happened and the details about these things. What would I have done? Putting myself in Trump's shoes, what would I have done knowing that because Trump has gone on record and said this, that he feels like he is mandated by God to make America great again. And he has spoken of devotion to America and Christians. What would I do? What I would do two things. I would put disciplinary tariffs on Israel. Ally or not, you fucked around with the majority religion in our country. That is bad faith. That is improper between allies. You will pay for it, literally. Second, I will force them to fund the largest Christian church in Israel. And it has to be, hold on. I need to do another fact check before I make my final decision here. What is the annual GDP of Israel? Jesus. Israel. Israel's nominal GDP in current US dollars for 2024 was $540 billion. Okay. Okay, let's do one more calculation. How much? I don't like that. Let's do. Actually, let's do. For the intellectuals, you probably already know what I'm doing. Okay. I would make them build a church in value of 8% of their entire annual GDP. And it has to have a massive statue of Jesus. The proper Christian Jesus. Standing tall with like the iconic, like with the hands together praying type thing. Or you could do like the hands out like this, right? That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And if they didn't, I'd flatten the entire fucking country. Peace through strength. It'd be pretty peaceful in that part of the world if you just started getting rid of the problems that live there. That's what I would do. And the hypothetical that I was the president in that position, of which you need to be punished for your fucking crimes as the one of the supposed closest allies to the U.S. And every single senator, every single House representative, every single member of the federal government that took any sort of money from Israel would lose an entire year's salary. All of them. You bought into this shit. You took money from these fucking people knowing what they've done. Fuck you. And then I'll take all that money and I'll build a bunch of churches with it. That's what I would do, even as a non-Christian. But like I said, this is the hypothetical. I'm in the White House Oval Office. I need to make a decision. That's the decision. You get tariffed, and you have to spend 8% of your GDP to build the most extravagant Christian church ever. And it has to be made in your capital city. And then the minute it is vandalized, unprotected, or anything like that, just wipe your country off the map. Fuck it. Fuck it. Who cares? Who cares? The fuck's anybody gonna do? The United fucking States, bitch. What are you gonna do? Nothing. That's exactly what you're gonna do. Oh man, I don't believe in playing buddy buddy with fucking countries that are just not even on our level, not even close.
There's no question my father's had frustration. In fact, I think he's had frustration throughout the whole conflict with both sides. At the same time, make no mistake, you have a nation that is chanting death to America every single day on the streets of Tehran. You have a nation that will develop a nuclear weapon, and you have a nation that will use that nuclear weapon against
Oh, he's talking about Iran.
the Western way of life. There's no question about it. you have a nation that will use proxies around the world, whether it's Yemen, whether it's a lot of other ones, to inflict serious harm on this nation. And they don't hide it. They don't hide it. In fact, it's really interesting. About a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, they put out, the Ayatollah in Iran put out an emoji, a little short video clip of a drone hovering over my father's head as he played golf. This was literally posted on the Ayatollah's, Twitter page, following my father around a golf course with a crosshair right on top of him, as if they wanted to assassinate him and as if they wanted to hurt him. Guys, Iran wanted to destroy our way of life. They wanted to hurt us. They wanted to inflict real pain. What I can tell you about my father is, in terms of Israel, he wants a peaceful Middle East. He wants peace around the world. He wants to end the killing. He did that with India and Pakistan. He did that, obviously, you saw what he did with Cambodia.
This is not what he wants to hear. None of these people right here want to hear this. Look at the... Can you see that guy? Yeah, you can, barely. Just above me, this guy here, he's fucking starved. He's fucking starving. He is upset. That is a hangry motherfucker. None of these people want to hear this shit. Because they're all fucking starving. Their rent is too expensive. They're paying too much in gas. They're paying too much in insurance. They're paying too much for medical shit. They're paying too much for everything. Every aspect of life right now is too expensive for a single young adult to live. You're making all of these deals, all of this fucking peacekeeping bullshit around the world, while the youngest, who need to carry on your torch after you leave in 4 years, or in 3 years, they still suffer. They don't feel the effects of any of it. All your rich friends, they love it. They know business is going to boom. They're doing great. Stock market doing good. But the average everyday American continues to suffer. And it continues to go downhill.
In Thailand, he's tried to stop every conflict because he's sick and tired of the death and destruction.
Also, I'm going to let him ramble on here, but I think it's fair to be able to say what he said, but I also think it is fair to criticize Israel and the hypocritical stance that your father took. Now, would I do it on live TV? Probably not. Probably not. This is a live little like rally thing, whatever, Turning Point. I don't know what they call this, a convention, conference thing, whatever the fuck. I wouldn't do it live on stage, but privately, I would definitely be like, Dad, what the fuck, man? like these kids are out here fucking suffering, and you're out here playing superhero? Come on, buddy. What are you doing? What are you doing? You need to get back to what matters, Some point you gotta be the one who brings, like, everybody's got that friend that like has got to bring you back down to earth when your ego gets a little too inflated, right? And I'm not saying it's Trump's ego, but I am saying he's getting a little lost in the sauce. You gotta fucking rein him back in a little bit.
So there have been times that he got mad at Netanyahu. There's plenty of times where he's gotten mad at Putin. There's times where he's been mad at Zelensky, and he uses all of that as a tool to stop pain and destruction.
Gotta wear that
death
suit, man.
Of people that are our age, your age in most cases, who have become political pawns and who have been marched into literally trenches and killed by the millions. And that's what my father wants to see end right this second, and that's why he's worked so hard for peace around the world. In fact, Donald Trump is the only president in the United States history that's never brought America to war, and I hope he keeps following in that crusade.
I don't know. It depends on what Nigeria does.
In response to the nukes from Iran, Israel has nuclear weapons and is not a part of the IAEA, unlike Iran. And it's just sad to see because I've never seen the American president get treated the way he does by the Israeli government.
He does, yeah. I think that's a fair point. He does get walked around a little bit like some fucking, literally like some Nobel Peace Prize. It is kind of a bit like Netanyahu seems like the one taking the lead on things. And I'm not saying it makes Trump look incompetent, but it does make him look a bit silly. I ain't gonna lie. Look a bit silly, man. For example, I think the type of treatment that Netanyahu should have in the US is the same type of treatment as the French Prime Minister when he was stuck by New York police so that the president's motorcade could go down the road, and the local PD stopped him from moving. A prime minister, leader of an entirely different country, was forced to stand there and watch as Trump's motorcade came roaring through New York. That was insane. That's the type of shit that you want to see. That's the type of shit you want to see. Like, why are we pretending that Israel's on our level? They're not. They're not even close. I hate that, man.
Here's what I'll add.
I would even argue that most people in the US don't even know where Israel is on a map.
Do we or do we not have phase one of a peace agreement in the Middle East right now?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Eggs is fucking $6. Pack of cigarettes is fucking goddamn fucking 13, 16, fucking 8. What the fuck did I just click? It's fucking ridiculous amount of money, right? Gas is expensive. Rent is expensive. Mortgages expensive. Credit absolutely abusive. I think the credit system's a fucking scam. I think that fucking shit needs to be taken offline and reevaluated and then reestablished in a much more consumer-friendly way. I think they allow very predatory practices to take place, and it causes a lot of people to suffer needlessly when there is a much safer and much less damaging way to teach people about credit. So there are many things, right? We have homeless veterans on the fucking street. We right now have no one with fucking SNAP benefits. And I am the first one to tell you that there are a lot of people who abuse those benefits, and I think that system doesn't need to be taken away. It needs to be reevaluated and then reestablished. Like I said, for the other system, for the credit system. It needs to be, essentially, it needs that good old Oblivion remaster. Except you need to polish it up. You got to make it nice. You got to make it work. You got to make it efficient.
Nothing is ever going to be perfect, but I'll tell you what, this president works with what he has. He believes in peace.
He has every branch of the government and a majority in the Supreme Court. He needs to stop fucking pussyfooting around. For those who say no, you throw them in jail. Because at the end of the day, the real checks and balances in the country are the people. Not the government, not the military, not the cops, not the investors, not the boardroom executives, not the Walmart shoppers. It's everyone. It's everyone.
Through strength, and whether we're talking about in the Middle East, whether we're talking about a 40-year war like Armenia and Azerbaijan, as Eric just pointed out, a 5-day war in Thailand and Cambodia. This is a president of peace.
Doesn't matter. You can put the whole world at peace, but if your homeland is chaos, then you are not a peaceful president.
And sometimes you have to be slightly unconventional with how you get there. You use what you have. That is certainly what he's been able to do. And I would just say peace around the world sounds pretty good to me, and that's what this president is bringing.
Again, doesn't matter. Not until everything is back down. Once everything goes back down in price, it'll matter again. You either have to bring things down in price, which typically never happens, or you have to do an insanely massive wage increase for the entire country. Every single state mandatory. It can be a temporary thing just to get people by. Because you'll lose a lot of places because of that, because they won't be able to sustain that for very long, right? But you got to offset it somehow. I think, now that I just thought about it, I think the biggest problem is, I think Trump does have a plan to bring down the prices of everything, but it's not a quick fix plan. It's a plan that has to burn for like a 5 to 10 years. And in the long run, it's great. But the problem is your people are hurting now. Like, you don't have 5, 10 years. You had yesterday to get this done. So people's patience are already gone, right? We've suffered for over a decade, right? Over a decade where the wages have not kept up with the economic boom. And then the economic recession, and then now we're back into an economic boom, right? All of that has to go into the pockets of the working middle class people. If you want to maintain your position in government, you have to do it that way. Otherwise, you're going to lose everything. People are going to vote a radical in every single state, every single district, every single mayor. It doesn't matter. Mayor, governor, they're all going to be radicalized. And then you will have 50 radical states underneath a government that is spiraling out of control because it has no idea how to fix it.
Good evening. So, I have a pretty busy father myself, but I know you have a very, very busy father. So, has his long hours ever impacted your sleep schedule?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
He'll call me at 5 o'clock in the morning. He'll call me at 12 o'clock at night. Then he'll call me at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, Donald Trump is like the Energizer Bunny on steroids, you know, in like a red tie. And he's always been that. I mean, as long as, and I'll never forget in 2016, you'd have Hillary, she'd be up on stage. Does Donald Trump have the stamina to be president of the United States, right? And, you know, here she is. She packed it in like 3 days before, you know, Election Day. She thought she won. You know, she filled the Jacob Javits Center in New York with the most beautiful balloons. All her, you know, billionaire supporters were eating caviar and drinking champagne. And guess who was on the stage at 2 o'clock in the morning of election, you know, about 3 hours before he went to actually vote himself in Michigan? Donald Trump, because he wanted to get one more rally in while everybody had already packed it in. So the guy has never been long on sleep. And by the way, isn't that what you want out of the president of the United States? Don't you want somebody who's going to fight their ass off? You know. Here's what I'll tell everybody about him. He was the last person in the world that needed this job. His life would have been a hell of a lot better. Hang out at Mar-a-Lago, fly around on Trump Force One, play golf, hang out with his grandkids, do great real estate deals. And yet, you know, I mean, the guy, when he went over to Israel, talk about Israel and, you know, Egypt for the peace deal, he literally went over there, flew over there, did 2 stops in Israel, did a stop in Egypt, and ended up getting back 36 hours later so he could give our great friend Erica the Presidential Medal of Freedom for Charlie Kirk. He was able to pull that all off in a 36-hour period. Joe Biden couldn't have accomplished all of that in 3 months. I mean, literally, he wouldn't have had the stamina. So, you know, thank God we have a president that runs hard. Thank God we have a president. The guy will come off of Air Force One at 2 o'clock in the morning, give a press conference at Andrews Air Force Base, hop on Marine One, fly to the White House, get off, do another pressure aid, you know, down right in front of, you know, on the South Ground lawn, go up, and then sure enough, you'll have a press conference at 9 o'clock in the morning in the Oval Office. Like, you know, by the way, all in defense of America and all as the greatest cheerleader America has ever seen. And I think that's exactly what we want in a commander-in-chief.
Fair.
And by the way, Benny, you asked about good campaign stories. This is one that speaks exactly to that. When we left Grand Rapids, Michigan, after that final rally of last year, we got on the plane to fly back to Palm Beach, packed, you know, with the whole campaign crew. And you would think, because the next day, everybody's going to be up early, start to finish, like we're going hard again, making sure we turn everybody out, then maybe you'd want to rest a little bit. Not Donald Trump. It was a full concert on the plane the whole way home. Nobody slept a wink. We all walked off of that plane just absolutely exhausted, but knowing we left nothing to chance. We left it all out on the field. And we played a lot of great music on that plane on the way back, I'll tell you.
I don't know if I care about any of this.
You may have heard he's pretty big on the iPad playing.
What a beautiful time this has been.
We'll get to the next question here.
Yeah, what a beautiful time this has been in honor of Charlie. Speaking of, I'm very Christian.
What state farm do you manage? I'm sorry. I had to, man. As all I could think of the minute I saw the guy.
Extremely pro-life to the point where I'm also anti-death penalty. I was just curious on, it's one of the few things that actually Charlie disagreed with the president about. What is the president's stance moving forward as it goes with protection of unborn life?
Well, I think you know where he stood all along. I mean, this is the first president to participate in anything that has been pro-life, you know, to the capacity that he has. I think he's been very clear on his stance for that. We know that he promised us that he would put Supreme Court justices on the bench. He put 3 of them on there, and we saw the fall of Roe v. Wade, right? He worked very long and hard to ensure that he got good people to do that. The first president to speak at the March for Life, and I don't think he's ever shied away from his position. And he's the one who will tell you the story about actually changing his position, that for a long time, he wasn't pro-life until he actually met back up with a child of someone who he knew from years before, who thought about having an abortion, kept the baby, and then he talks about the fact that he met this, you know, young man or woman who really impressed him, that he was like, God, this is what happens. This is what the beautiful part of life is all about. And it changed his mind completely. So I don't think he's changed his stance. I think he's been very clear on that.
Well, inherently, that would basically mean that he did change his stance. So you just kind of went back on like what she just said. Because like if he was for the abortions before, and then met somebody who didn't go through with it, and they kind of were an emotional trigger for him, and then he became fully pro-life, well, that does mean that he switched his stance on that specific topic. Um, it's no different than fucking Mamdani. Mamdani's the same way. He was anti-police, right? Defund the police, right? And in his fucking victory speech, he wants to help the police make New York safe. So he switched his stance up pretty quick on that, right? Yeah, that's, I don't know. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say. I don't think she realized that she did that, but yeah, that's essentially what happened.
Yep.
Thank you. But as it goes for stance on the death penalty, do you think that any more can be pushed in that direction as it goes for a pro-life stance?
If they touched an underage person, instant death. With proper evidence, right? If you rape somebody, you should die. I don't think you should be allowed to live. Unless actually, I think what we should do after we get the labor camp system set up for our prisoners so we can make them work, I think that we should have like a tiered system, right? So say you're fucking in there for skimming a few credit cards, right? We'll have you in there manufacturing number 2 pencils, not that difficult. Just got to be careful around the machines and you're chilling, right? And then I think the more serious the crime, the more intense the labor. That's what I think. I think you should have to like mine minerals, right? Fucking chain gang, fucking shackles, putting in railroads, fucking mining minerals, people driving by throwing fucking food at you and shit. I think that should happen. I think that should be the case. I think we use prisoners to do the worst things in society, so then we can just enjoy the good things, right? Bring the prices down on everything because everything is becoming manufactured and shipped and dealt with in state, by the state, for the state.
Yeah, I think he's probably not changing his mind on death penalty. There's a lot of people who have inflicted a lot of harm, and I get it. I get it if you're pro-life, but I don't think we're changing his mind on death penalty.
Probably not.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. A lot of presidents, a lot of Republican presidents in our lifetime have said that they are pro-life, and not a single one of them went the 200 feet from the Oval Office to the March for Life, and President Trump has done it every single year. Spoken to the March for Life, and done so very strongly.
Hi, you guys. My name is Audrey, and I want to thank you guys again for being here. This is such a special moment for everyone. I would like to preface.
What's that guy holding up on his phone? They blurring it out, so I can't fucking see it.
I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, and ever since I was little, even up until now, my parents have advised me to stay away from Chicago, and I can see why, and I do. Our governor is a disaster.
Smart.
And he denies the crime that goes on in
Yeah, what a fucking fat porker piece of shit that guy is, huh?
Chicago, and he goes against federal laws and policies, and it really sucks. And I just would like to know what steps President Trump will be making to lessen the crime in Chicago. I really appreciate that he's already taken steps with the National Guard and ICE agents, but I would just like to know what steps he'll be taking in the future.
Hey, I don't give a fuck. He could roll up in there with some fucking jets and tanks and shit. I don't fucking care at all. Oh, you got a fucking building full of gangbangers? Blow it the fuck up. Who gives a shit? Fuck you for pushing your violent bullshit on everybody else so that they have to live in fear because of your ignorance and your lack of ability to do anything more for yourself than shoot your fucking neighbor's dog or you in the face. Or your neighbor. Fucking, I had to stop for a second. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't say that right. But yeah, it's so bullshit, man. Like, your freedoms don't trump other people's. That fucking didn't mean to pun it there, but you know, your freedoms don't trump other people's ability to live. Like, that's not the whole point of those, right? You want to have freedom of speech? Sure. Don't impede fucking traffic. People got fucking shit to do. That's why we have sidewalks. That's why we have public spaces of gathering. So then you can have your peaceful protest. You could scream, yell, fucking bring the subwoofers and fucking have a goddamn party for all I care. Just as long as I can get to my 9 to 5 because I got bills to pay. And I think that's most people's stance on things. It's never a problem until you unlawfully, well, not even unlawfully, but you fucking demonstrate in a way that is disruptive to everyday society. And that's no different with crime. These people are a fucking problem. And a lot of them are people who shouldn't even be out on the street. They've been caught. They're repeat offenders because they have this fucking... They have this system that essentially rewards them for being arrested. And unfortunately, some of these people are young kids because the kids get let off. So the adults groom the kids go in, they do the crime, they spend a night in jail, they come back out the next day, and they pick them up and they do it all over again. It's fucking insane.
So, Audrey, this is such a great question. And by the way, this has real, like, deep meaning. I built our building in Chicago. You've probably seen it many, many times as you were in there. It's the tallest building in the city, second tallest building in the city, the seventh tallest building in the world when we built it. And Chicago's gone to hell, and it is deeply sad. And Chicago's a city that's been run by Democrats for the last 100 years.
Yeah, they did a great job fucking that up.
And despite that, they go further and further and further to the left every single election, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And if you look at what my father did with Washington, D.C., in 12 days they arrested 4,300 people, and
not enough.
Crime went from being astronomical, not quite Chicago,
They
but
up
bad,
those numbers
to being 100% perfect, meaning they have no murders. The point is, we've seen this story before. We've seen this movie. It can be done, and yet I know your governor, and I know Pritzker, and he's been an absolute disaster. I mean, you have the president of the United States saying, I want to come, and I want to be your partner, and I want to fix this problem. They had a weekend recess.
Well, I don't think Trump was that nice, if I'm being honest. If he was that nice, I think things would be a little bit different, right? But I don't think he was. I think Trump was like, look, you fat fucking piece of shit. Like, I think behind closed doors, Trump is 10 times the asshole he is on camera. 100%. In certain situations, it has climbed out a little bit, but I think behind the scenes, he has no problem strong-arming people and being an absolute dickhead. I could 100% see that.
Where you had 70 shootings. And a lot of those translated into murders. Every single day, brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and daughters and sons are getting mowed down. And they don't give a damn. And you know why they don't give a damn? They don't give a damn because if Donald came in and he fixed the problem, it would be a huge stain on the Democratic Party forever, in that he was able to fix a problem that they, for the last 100 years, couldn't get under control as it progressively got worse. Remember the problems you had in Chicago. I mean, you literally had people under Lori Lightfoot, who was the last mayor of Chicago, who were leaving piles of bricks along Michigan Avenue so people could go up, grab the bricks, and throw them through, storefronts. And you know how I know this? Because I took care of every single one of those, those Chicago PD officers in our hotel that were bloodied, that were cut, that were beat to hell. We took care of them in Trump Chicago. Like, we became like their fortress during remember, it was it was the summer of love, they called it. It was the mostly peaceful protests, as CNN called it, as the cars burned on streets all across this country. It is so sad because we know the problem can be fixed. It was
Yeah, dude, just call it a fucking riot, dude. Just call it what it is. It's so dishonest. It's so dishonest, and it did irreparable damage to the blue argument. To the blue side argument.
So sad because Donald Trump has already proven that he can fix the problem. The problem is you have corrupt, incompetent politicians who don't care about this country and don't care about the citizens, but only care about their political party, despite the fact that that comes at a massive detriment to the people of Chicago. And I'm telling you, if you gave Donald Trump 2 weeks, you'd have the safest country in the nation. We've seen it done before, and I hope to God he goes in there and just takes care of business because the people of
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. They had National Guardsmen picking fucking flowers and shit in DC because they cleaned it up in a matter of like 2-3 days, and then after that they had nothing to do, so they're just like, just make them do landscaping. We gotta, how long do we got them contracted for? Oh, 2 weeks. Oh, okay. I don't know. Make them put down the mulch.
Chicago deserve it.
Fuck's sake, man.
Thank you. I agree, and I believe in him.
Thanks, Audrey.
What else we got?
This will be our last question.
Hello, so we're in high school, and talking about politics
Oh,
is just
shit.
really brutal because it goes straight
High
to name
school?
calling. So my question is, for people who disagree with
We got people this young? Holy shit. Yo, people in my high school, you'd be lucky if they knew like what political branch was responsible for what form of government. Like nobody when I was in high school gave a fuck about politics.
us, how can we try to find a way to commonly come together and talk about at our age?
Okay. All right. Fair question. How do we talk about it without everybody getting fucking mad? Get the fucking radicals away from the internet. Prison, labor camps, making number 2 pencils. My friends, I'm fucking telling you, it's the solution.
Well, first of all, thank you, ladies, for being here tonight. This is absolutely incredible to have you. And I would
Absolute
say
W.
if you ever feel like you are too nervous to talk to somebody or you're not sure what to say, remember our friend Charlie Kirk over there. Channel Charlie. Take a moment. Understand that you are speaking from a place of truth. You are speaking from a place of goodness. You are speaking from a place of understanding. And you can just tell these people that this is what you believe. They don't have to believe it with you. And that is the beauty of the United States of America, because we can agree to disagree in this great country. That's what.
All I hear is bald eagles and gunshots, feller. We got freedom here. Freedom of speech.
It's all about.
Freedom of
But
expression.
also have backbone. I can't tell you how little backbone so many people have, right? You know, when DEI was running rampant, guess who went against it, right? And that wasn't popular, and that was often hard. When, you know, my father had to go out and remember how brutal it was. You had men my size swimming in women's collegiate sports, right? And that became the acceptable norm until Donald Trump came in and started beating the drum.
Yeah, that shit was also a massive killer for the Democrat Party. The more it happened, the more people pushed against it. Because it made so many people uncomfortable. Because, like, in theory, on paper, they were okay with it. Until that same man was in their daughter's locker room. Until that same man was in, was in a literal private area of which you are meant to undress and be exposed to. I mean, listen, I'm really tired of fucking I'm talking about this bullshit, all right? Because it's such a common sense, easy, just like stop being fucking. I did that again. Stop being fucking weird type things. Like it's so common sense. Like there's no excuse for allowing a man to expose himself in front of females in any capacity at all. Right? Unless you're two consenting adults that are going to a nude beach, that's it. That's the only place where that applies. Outside of that, it does not apply at all. It should never be put in a scenario where it has to apply.
You know, once in a while, you have to beat the drum. You have to stand up for what's right, even if it feels unpopular. So oftentimes, the things that feel unpopular are actually the most popular things. You can't back down, and you can't cower, and you can't hide, and you can't silence your voice, and you can't just think something and compartmentalize it. You actually really have to follow your heart, right? And you also have to be smarter than them. That's what Charlie did better than anybody. He was the best debater, and he was sharper than them, and he was right on the issues, right? So between the fact that he was smarter and he was actually correct in terms of the policy,
I do think it's I think that's a fair compliment to give. I do think it is also good advice. I do think it is important to be correct, right? You never want to come into something not knowing the facts, right? If you don't expose yourself to what the actual truth is, then it's going to be very hard for you to defend your point of view in any scenario in which it gets pushed back. Which is why, like, you see all of these people who put out some crazy hot take on X and they get flamed for it, and then they run away and then they jump on Blue Sky. Well, it's because Blue Sky is very heavily moderated, or they jump on Reddit and they're heavily moderated. They push only one agenda. They will protect your point of view because your point of view cannot stand on its own against somebody else who attacks it with logic, facts, and reasoning. And most importantly, common sense.
he could win the debate. And that's what I hope you can both do. And I think that's what I hope we can all do. Be smarter than them and be right on the issues.
I do think it would be nice to break the stigma of politics being a private thing and politics being something that is so debilitatingly fucking polarized. Like, I would like to see more and more people just sitting down, talking shop at your fucking local McDonald's, at your fucking at the pub at night after you had a long day of work with the boys, you know, talk a little shop, you know, everybody's just chilling, hanging out, good vibes, you know, no reason to get heated, you know, here's my point of view, here's your point of view, we can agree to disagree, everything is chilling. Hey, you want another beer? You know, that's how it should be.
And win the debate and do so using civility.
I think we will get there too, because I do think that there will be a course correction for left politics. And you'll start to see more Democrats that win are people who have taken the 2003, 2005 Democrat political stance, where it's just like the tax the rich to help the poor, everybody needs medical care, we should have kind of socialist sort of socialism systems in place for like food stamps and getting homeless people a place to live, that type of thing. I do think that is important. I do think that is in I do think that is a very important structure of our society, especially as more and more jobs disappear. You need more and more of these type of systems to help take care of these people that you are disenfranchising, because some of them will adapt and they will gain different skills and they will be successful in a different area. Others, not so good. They're not so good at adapting, right? Because there's plenty of work that we will never, ever get to the point to where an AI can do it for you. Not without redesigning the entire infrastructure to work with it. For example, trade work. Trade work is one of those things that you'll never see a robot doing it in our lifetime because it is too complex and there's too, like, you would have to essentially, from an engineering standpoint, design the building to be worked and operated and preventative maintenance to be done on by robots only. Removing the people from the scenario, everything, every bolt, every screw, every nail, every fucking piece of drywall, every piece of wiring, every fucking main line for the plumbing, everything has to be completely set up to be operated on by a robot. If you want to get to that point. And we're not even close to that. Not even in the next century. Because I think there's a certain subset of people, popular creators, who think that we are advancing faster than we actually are. That's what I think. Will we eventually get there? Yes. I do believe that eventually people will become more and more obsolete. I actually pissed off a bunch of people on Facebook today. That's been my favorite thing to do lately is I'll find some fucking ridiculous post and I'll throw in my most ridiculous response to said post. If I was signed into it on my computer, I would just simply pull it up. But actually, I'll just pull it up on my phone. We'll go over a couple of them real quick. Oh my god, I just missed another. Oh my god, another notification. Jesus. So somebody put this post on Facebook. Oh, it's BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed put a post on Facebook. Young women are rejecting patriarchal expectations that previous generations internalized. Once expected to shoulder emotional labor as a normal part of relationships, they are now more aware of the costs of caring, including suppressing their own needs. They are less inclined to date, with 56% saying it's hard to find someone who meets their expectations, compared to 35% of men. What do you know? Women have higher expectations. This is a normal thing, blah, 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 right? I put in the comments, anytime I see these, I just don't care. We are in the process of making androids that'll do the entire pregnancy process for us. And then, of course, I have a bunch of angry fucking females that have responded. 81 replies to that, and 113 laughing emoji responses by the men. None of the men put their 2 cents in because they're smart. Me, I don't care. So I put my 2 cents in anyway. But it's true. It's true. I do think eventually we'll get to the point. You can call this my hot take if you want, or my fucking radical position, conspiracy, whatever. I do think we'll eventually get to the point to where babies aren't even created by 2 humans anymore. I think it'll literally be like a deposit, and then you get your baby, right? On some like cyberpunkian, like crazy universe where you have sex with an android. The android does all the work of bringing the baby to term, and then voila, you get a baby, right? And then like the android at that point, like if it can carry a child, it's also advanced enough to take care of the child, and you can instill whatever bullshit you want to onto that child because your android is also programmed to essentially help push those same values, and you don't have to worry about getting any pushback or differing opinions because it's like perfect. It's all binary. It's a ones and twos, right? Whereas, and I do think this is true for the females as well. I do think this is true for women. I think women will eventually get to the point to where they're not even having sex with dudes anymore. Like, they're gonna get the android, android thing, and it's gonna have like an injection thing or whatever. Like, once it's detected that like the women or like the woman is at like the proper climax, then it just injects whatever fucking male profile they chose. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think eventually we're going to get to the point to where humans are completely disconnected from one another, and the idea of a two-parent household is going to disappear. You can call that a hot take, but I do think eventually the world is going to become Wall-E.
And not evil and violence, which is so oftentimes what the side that is losing in this country is resorting to.
Fair.
Thank you so much.
That's really helpful.
Thank you, ladies.
We got any more?
Thank you, Auburn.
Oh, that was the last one. That's right. All right. Well, I like this video. I think it's fair to put this out for the world to be able to critique these sort of things and see what people are thinking who are closest to him as far as what their influences are and what their opinions are on specific issues. So yeah, I think that's awesome. I think the younger generation is slowly waking up. I think they're all asking the hard questions. I think that is very necessary. I think you should always challenge the narrative and look for answers in those who need to be providing said answers. I think that's great. I think it's awesome. Okay. Oh boy. So Ms. Kiff is opening up a lawsuit. Let's figure out the fast facts from your boy, Legal Mindset. Hold on. I need some water here. I need some water. We're gonna set the volume. Get the volume set. Get the volume set. We're professional. We're professional. We're professional. Okay.
Ms. Kiff's lawsuit is hilariously bad. Today we're breaking it down on the Legal Mindset where we teach you to be your own judge.
Uh-oh.
Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney in America, and we're going to break this down for you today. It's good to be back. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I've been doing some traveling. I'm back in the States for a little bit, and I'm very excited to be coming back with this topic, something I predicted in my last review of
boy.
the Ms. Kiff versus Emeru.
I did see a headline that it was something around defamation or something like that, but we'll see.
Kind of drama, which was drama then, but it's legal now. There's a lawsuit now, and this is something that is absolutely going to blow back on Ms. Kiff, and we're going to get into that today. Of course.
Yeah, imagine being a vile piece of fucking monkey trash where you emotionally and physically are abusive. Oh, not physically. Not physically. No, but he did climb on top of her, though. To be fair. To be fair. But that doesn't fall under the physical category. I guess that would be sexual abuse. But either way, it's abuse. Emotionally, mentally abusive, absolute controlling piece of fucking monkey garbage trash. If I had it my way, he would already be arrested, and he would be already making those number 2 pencils that I wish would come to fruition, right? So, confirmed, verbally, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. The other stuff, we'll leave that at alleged for now. For now. Until more people come out So I'm sure they will now.
I've got a PowerPoint as we get into this Fast Facts version. If you like the Fast Facts, if you like
Get
this
what you
format,
get, though.
make sure to like the video,
Ms.
leave a
Kiff
comment, let me know you
versus
love
everyone?
the Fast Facts, and
Oh,
let me know
boy.
you're glad that I'm back. So this is Miss Kiff versus effectively everyone. Now, I know not everyone on the internet is named in this,
Yeah,
but
I am curious
all the
who
big
he's
players
suing.
are in this. And we're going to go over the parties first so you guys understand the background for this lawsuit and
Bro, I swear to God, if he's suing Asman, he lost. Already lost. If there's somebody that, and this is in general, this is not Asmongold specific. If there's anyone that I would rather not get into a lawsuit with, it is somebody who is just as calculated and careful as I am. Or more so. Or more so. Absolutely never. Because as long as I am the most calculated and careful person in the situation, in the lawsuit, whatever it is, right? Then I know I'm basically guaranteed, I could even put money on it, that I'm coming out on that on top always. But if it becomes like a 60-40, 50-50, a fucking 70-30 in their favor, what the fuck? Like, nope, not playing those odds.
what's going on here today. So obviously, a couple disclaimers up front. This is something that I wanted to break down. First of all, this is a public court document. I know that there's an unredacted version. Anybody can go out there and find the unredacted version with all the names, everything else. I have chosen to take selections for the Fast Facts and to redact them. However, once again, all this stuff is now public. One thing about a lawsuit is it all becomes public. Everything becomes public, which is why things are going to be very, very interesting. One fun fact was I don't believe Miskiff is using his legal name or real name. I believe he's using a previous name because I've seen other lawsuits where he uses a different name. So regardless, if he's using a fake name, that's going to come out. The real name will
That's
come out.
fucking weird.
Particularly in a response by the defendants, Emaru, Asmongold, OTK, Mythic. That's going to come out.
Oh my God. So he's actually suing Asman? Technically? Well, it's been nice knowing Mizkiff. I hope that he finds peace in whatever cell that he ends up in. Those number 2 pencils better be fucking... They better be high quality. Durable. Because... I don't know what to say, bro. Listen. You're talking about somebody in Asman who lives a very, he lives a very simple, yet calculated life. And you think that was an optimal route to go. One, you're in a situation where you have no ground to stand on. There's no foundation here. Secondly, you're going up against somebody who is 10 times the man you are when he is 10 times presented to be a man that's not even close to you. And you think that somebody with that level of not even, I was going to say uncaring, but he kind of cares, but what's the... With that level of composition, that is the best word. The best word. With that level of composition, you lost before you started.
One of the big thing is I am obviously represented by Mythic, but I do not represent or speak for Mythic. I'm not their lawyer. I'm not their representative. I don't speak for Asmongold, Emaru, anybody else, OTK. I'm speaking for myself. And one of the things that I do appreciate, and I want to give a little bit of thanks to Mythic on this, is I actually had this conversation with them before I ended up signing with them, saying, hey, look, if anything comes out involving a lawsuit, I'm going to cover it. Now, I'm going to do it as I always do, neutrally, based on the facts, based on the law, telling you the way it is or the way it isn't. And that's just the way it's going to be for me. And that's always how it's going to be for me. But they did not put any caps or restraints on what I said or how I speak, particularly as it involves the facts of the law. So I'm not representing anybody, and just throwing it out there. The last thing is, I am going to make some bold statements here. I do say his lawsuit is hilariously bad, but court cases are always unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. Even if there's a 99% chance that he loses, hey, there's a 1% chance out there. Judges can be crazy. Things can be crazy. Things can happen in unexpected ways. So just got to throw that out there so that...
And you just got to hope that that doesn't happen, because then you got to get into appeals court, and it's a whole fucking... Oh, God. It goes from like a fucking week, 2 week, 3 week process to months. And it's like, oh my Jesus, kill me now.
Everybody knows that, once again, I'm honest about how things
It's
shake
such a
up
pain in the
court.
ass.
So let's get into it. Who are the parties? Obviously, Miskiff here. Oh my
Look at that
gosh,
fucking
this guy,
retard.
what a clown. So he...
What a piece of shit, dude. Oh my God, man.
He is claiming all sorts of...
I really hope that like some random kid just accidentally hits him in the ankle with a fucking scooter, dude. Y'all remember that shit? You know, back in the day, for anybody who's like into the BMX shit, like when you were a kid, bro, all the fucking skateboarding and like doing tricks on scooters and shit. And you had the all metal fucking Razor scooter. And when you tried to do a fucking like pop the fucking, I can't remember what the fucking trick's called, but like you try to like pop a front wheelie, and then you you spin the fucking scooter around, and if you timed it wrong on the way down and you landed incorrectly, it would just smash you right into your fucking ankle bone. And it was the most painful fucking experience. I just want him to feel that. I want him to feel that every fucking day. Every day. Listen, if he would have just came out and took accountability for it and just said, you know what? Like, this was me. I was that person. I am no longer that person. Or maybe he still is. I would have still respected him, even if he would have came out and said, you know what? I'm still that same fucking person. I'm not apologizing. I don't give a fuck. Right? If he would have taken either one of those stances, I would have respected him more. But the fact that he is trying to play victim, the fact that he is trying to make it out to be like he is somehow the wronged party, is why I just want him legally slaughtered in any way possible. I want his career ruined. I want him to disappear from the internet forever. And I want the next picture of him being of him in that McDonald's hat, and he's got fucking zits all over his face and shit because he's working around like greasy fucking food all day. What a piece of shit, dude. What a piece of shit. Somebody let me know if he's got a P.O. box. I'll send him a box of number 2 pencils.
Damages here in terms of reputational harm, loss of business goodwill, loss of earnings, future earning potential, emotional distress, and mental anguish. Oh, mental anguish. Did those plushies hurt your soul, Miskiff? Did those plushies destroy you? I know you got the big Donkey Kong back there, but you're really Baby Yoshi energy. Listen,
Baby Yoshi
Miskiff
energy
is going to destroy himself legally, financially, and reputationally in this. And
oh my
I am
God.
going to be here to cover it all the entire way. So I'll say it once, and I'm going to say it again. Thank you.
Bro, Andrew's just gonna farm this, isn't he? He's here for the memes on this one.
Thank you, Miskiff, for the infinite content here.
Oh
You have
my
Emaru,
God, I knew it.
Emmy here.
I knew it.
She obviously
People are gonna say pre-watched, bro. I just know it. I just know it.
Obviously was key to the accusations involving obviously some emotional, physical, potentially sexual allegations
Wait, so I was accurate in the beginning.
against Mr. Miskiff, and that's going to be key to what's going on here. But backed up on that and in the lawsuit is the Roach King himself, Asmongold. He's in this in the defamatory context, claiming that his statements are defamatory. That's what Miskiff is going after. So he's pulled into this.
So he's trying to get one last bag from Asmon. Because out of everybody there, Asmon is by far just chilling. He's just doing the best. And now he's multi-streaming, farming on every platform you know. Wow. Wow. This is one of those people that I would never, ever want to get into a lawsuit with. Right? People who have time. Because, like, Asmon's a very busy person. Don't get me wrong. He's a very busy person. But he has time. Like me, if I'm getting in a busy lawsuit with somebody, that's going to be tough. Right? Because I have obligations outside of myself that take up all of my time. All of it. That I would prioritize over the lawsuit. That would make it difficult for me. Right? Because I have no problem like affording a lawyer, but like having to go through and like do all the shit would just be a massive time commitment. And Asmon is gonna come at this the harshest way possible, most likely, because of the fact that it is taking up his time. Asmon could be finishing Cyberpunk, even though he never will. Asmon could start Baldur's Gate 3, even though he never will. What's another game that everybody wants him to play that he just either never finished or just will never play? He could be playing fucking Skyrim modded for the first time. And he never will. Because he's dealing with lawsuits and people who are trying to get one last punch in before they disappear from the internet forever and they fall into content obscurity.
As well. And mind you, both Emmy and Asmongold would be key to the discovery here, and both of them would be deposed, which means they're going to get questioned, and all those things, including all those things Asmongold said he kind of doesn't want to talk about yet. Yeah, he's going to have to talk about those eventually when he's asked questions.
This is what I'm talking about. Asmon and Emiru have been preparing for this for months. No one knew about it except for them. Now, Emiru mainly has been preparing for this. Asmon, being the calculated person that he is, I guarantee you he knew this was likely an outcome, and he was already queued up with all the evidence he needs. I'm expecting, following this, that this is going to be a steamroll of a fucking lawsuit. Miskiff is going to get absolutely destroyed, demolished.
By his lawyers and by Miskiff's lawyers. So all those stories and all those things he says he has are going to come out. Now, he may not want to tell them right away, and I respect.
Yeah, Miskiff's stock is going to go down faster than Ubisoft.
His decision. Obviously, he's a thoughtful guy and he's thinking about this carefully. But all those things are going to come out as he is now a named defendant. Another named defendant, Mythic Talent. Of course, once again, my talent agency. But once again, I'm not personally involved in this. But they're...
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot about that.
Brought into this for contractual side as well as OTK as a corporate unit.
Right,
obviously,
Tectone.
they all had some ownership stakes in this. They all had a share in this. So obviously, depriving Miskiff of his shares is one of the claims at stake here. So let's get into
Yeah.
this lawsuit. So first, we have breach of contract. Now, this is the strongest possible claim. Now, why do I say strongest possible? Because we don't have the entire contract. Now, I can speculate on what that is
Right.
based on, number one, my experience with these types of contracts, and number two, having written some types of contracts like this myself, as you guys.
So, just because it's something that's been bothering me as I've been watching the video, I would recommend that you change your lighting a little bit and have a light that's in front of you shining to kind of brighten the front of your face rather than a brighter light in the background. Not that it's a problem in this video, but I do notice that some of them, it's a little bit bright behind you, and it does tend to kind of mess with the camera a little bit. And even my light right now, I mean, my light that I have, let's see, right there, is a little bit bright, but I haven't gotten I want to get these like dimmable bulbs so I can like turn it down a little bit, because like I got a remote right here for these lights over here, so I could turn those down so then they're not so intrusive, and it kind of gives you a good like ambiance type lighting. But yeah, something just a little side note.
As may or may not know, I'm a corporate lawyer. I have reviewed a lot of corporate agreements. So I can very much imagine what's going on here. And the strongest argument that he does have, and this is me being honest and upfront, is that there might be some breach of contract until we see the contract. My
True.
argument here, in my kind of thoughts for OTK in general, would be release the contract. It's going to come out as part of discovery. It's going to come out as part of this process. So
Yep.
one thing I would want to see, and once again, they can release this privately, publicly, whatever, it's going to come out as part of the lawsuit, is to get this particular agreement. So what is he saying? He's saying that, hey, they ousted him from ownership without breach or default. And now what that is saying is he had no notice, he had no reason to know he was going to be kicked out of OTK. Well, by his own admission and by the filing of the letter, which they previously sent him, in fact, he was on notice. He already had a strike. They could have removed him for just that, but they decided not to. So this, to me, despite being his strongest possible claim, is fundamentally flawed by his own evidence.
Calculated. Insanely calculated.
The evidence that he's submitted himself. So saying that
All
he's
the
divested with no
contingencies
breach or notice
already running.
is in fact countered by what he submitted, which we'll look at later. The next count is defamation. Now, this one is one you guys can obviously are familiar with. We've covered a lot of defamation cases on my channel. So he's saying that essentially the two main defendants, which are essentially Amaru and Asmongold, have defamed him with untrue statements, et cetera, and have published these to millions and millions of people. Now, the big problem with defamation is that you're going to need to prove it at the actual malice phase. And actual malice means that they actually had a high standard of malice against you, not just they said something that they were mistaken about, but they knew it was wrong and they had actual malice. That's going to be hard.
Yeah, that's going to be damn near impossible because literally all the clips are on the internet, right? Because, like, even think of somebody like Hassan, where, like, every bad thing he ever says or does is heavily moderated on everything that he has control of. But the problem is he has control of a micro percentage of the internet. So the rest of the internet still has every single one of those clips. They never disappear. They're always archived. And anyone who is ever suspicious of his behavior, I guarantee you, all the white knights out there fucking saved a clip. Every single one. Screen recorded it, whatever they had to do to get that clip, so then they can harvest you later on when all of this shit came to light. I do the same thing. I do the same thing. Not in the perspective to like a white knight for anybody, right? But when I know that I'm going to make a video of which I am going to be talking about somebody in a way that is distasteful, I will go beforehand for hours. And I will reach out to several people. I will reach out to anyone in the community, and I will gather evidence. Essentially, here's how I look at it, right? As somebody who has worked in both the government and trades, and sometimes, in the case of working for housing, you have to work under the assumption you're being sued for everything. And it could be anything as simple as a couple of bolts in the railing not being tight, right? You have a part of the sidewalk where it's like elevated and it's a trip hazard, right? So you need to either fill that in so it is no longer a catch, or you have to grind it down to be elevated properly. And in some cases, if it's really bad and your sidewalk's really fucked up, you have to re-pour the whole fucking thing. You have to do everything like somebody is going to use it to sue you. So now I carry that mentality anytime I talk about any of these videos where there is some sort of legal responsibility behind them. I assume that the person is suing me, and I am defending myself against that person. So this is a recent example, which is perfect. When I made the fucking video about me talking about Twitch and allowing the SA to happen at TwitchCon, before that video, before I fucking recorded that patch notes and I put out that video, I went on several creator pages, sites, and I fucking grabbed every single SA clip I could find. Every single one. And I reached out to several people who are moderators in other people's chats, and they got me clips. So when I said that Twitch could sue me if they wanted to, and I left it all out there, when I said that, I meant it. Because I was ready. I was ready. If they wanted to sue me and say that I was painting the brand in a bad light and I was spreading misinformation, this and that and the other, I was ready. Because I had clip for every single accusation I made. Every single one. Every bad comment, I could literally just, here's your, you want evidence? Oh, you want a clip? Oh, here you go. Here's a clip. Here you go. Here you go. No, oh, hold on. Let me put a bow on it for you. Okay, here you go. So that's my mentality for everything. Everything. And yeah, that's the way that, like, I wish, like, anyone who is in an ownership position, you really got to think about that. You really got to think about that. Like, whether you're providing a product or you're managing a place, like, all of it, managing a group even, like, you have to do everything under the assumption that a lawsuit will follow it. So you need to know how to prepare for it. You need to know how to assume that the worst case scenario is the case that will happen, right? It's tough. It is a bit stressful, right? But you know, it's the ring I decided to jump into. And you know, here we are. I'm committed to it. So, you know, gotta stay prepared, stay ready, boys.
Last one, count 3, is declaratory judgment against OTK, Mythic, and
I
King.
kind of want popcorn right
which
now.
essentially
Ain't gonna lie.
is saying, hey, look, these
Just
guys breached
tangent.
their agreements, breached their their bonds that they had over the management fees. So these management fees were not owed, and these were unlawful. So that's a breach there to divest the plaintiff Miskiff of his interest in the company. So those are the three main claims there. So my analysis of those three claims is that the breach of contract is once again the strongest, but it's entirely based on the contract. The letter from OTK hurts Miskiff's case. That's going to absolutely damage him and damage his, his ability to go forward on this. Defamation is the most idiotic. Why is it the most idiotic? Because it opens up discovery. Discovery means every single email, Discord message, WhatsApp, text message, anything, Signal, whatever else is out there. All of that is going to come out against Miskiff. And not only that, but he's opened up all of his finances.
And part of it already has.
So all of his money, everything else is going to be coming out for all the world and God to see, for everybody to say, hey, what's going on with Miskiff? What is wrong here? How much money did he actually lose? And did he lose that money because of these statements? Well, that's going to be really, really hard to prove, to show that, hey, because of these statements, I've lost revenue. How about you've been losing revenue because you've been, sucking lately, bro, right? You've been on a downtrend. You've been on a spiral. You've always been having trouble with views, having trouble with numbers. Everybody's numbers are down.
Bro, when I saw that he was getting mad, or when I watched the Emiru video and she was talking about how he was getting mad because of some fucking World of Warcraft shit, dude, I could not facepalm harder in my life. If I facepalmed at full strength in that moment, I would have blown my fucking head off. So pathetic, brother. World of Warcraft? Oh my brother.
So how are you hurt specifically,
it's
bro?
So crazy.
And how are you going to prove that this is, once again, actual malice? This is something where they knew what they were saying was false and they said it maliciously. I think that is something he's just not going to get to. And beyond that,
no, because even if you watch the Asmongold videos where he's talking about it from a point of simply pushing facts. He's not in a way like, oh, Miskiff's a stupid piece of shit, cunt ass motherfucker. No. Where that's something that I do because I'm not anywhere near this. I'm not anywhere involved. I'm not, interacting with any of these people or anybody in their inner circles. So I could say whatever the fuck I want. I'm completely detached, right? Yeah, so what I say or do has no legal consequence whatsoever as far as this stuff goes, so long as the things that I am referencing are actual factual things. And I'm not just spouting off saying bullshit without putting an alleged behind it if I don't know whether or not that this has happened or not, as I did earlier, which, come to find out, I was even right about.
There's seems to be proof and seems to be enough evidence that
which
a lot
insane.
of what was said was the tip of the iceberg. In fact, there's much more that people don't know about Miskiff.
Which is even crazier. The fact that there's more to be revealed.
Going to come out. So all those naughty stories from those parties that he went to, once again, parties that content creators should be well advised to be very, very careful at.
I don't go to parties, man. I don't go to parties. There's too much terrible shit that can happen at a party, man. And if you're implicated anywhere near or around it, it'll ruin your career. It'll ruin any social media presence you have. It'll just ruin your fucking life. So you know what I do? I go home. I go to the pub. I'll hang out with some people. We'll talk shop, have a good time. And then after that, I go home. I always go home. And I just spend time with my dog.
Because these things can come back and bite you. So all of that's going to come out. All of his bad shenanigans at parties, all of his behavior, all of his conduct, that's going to come out. So all of that is going to weigh against them actually actively
Keep your head
lying in a
down and on the
malicious
grind,
way.
Kings.
The last is declaratory judgment, which I think is based upon the contract. Once again, the OTK letter I think hurts Miskiff here, but
Right.
if the contract is pretty clear with giving them ability to breach, which once again, common corporate language, common corporate contracts, any corporate lawyer would know this, like myself, anybody else. There are reputational clauses. If you hurt the reputation of a company, they can terminate you. That's been a thing forever. That's always been a thing.
Yeah.
So the fact that he thinks he can get away with that, the fact he thinks that, hey, that reputation doesn't matter for a company, no, that's very, very standard. That's very, very ad forma or pro forma, sorry. It's something that every company is going to want to get rid of somebody if they're a problem or look like a problem, and that's a standard clause. Almost everybody, every employee out there in modern corporate America has some sort of reputational clause. So I think for the breach of contract and for the declaratory judgment, I think he's going to have a real uphill battle there. And let's look at the letter here. This is very interesting. So this is something that was also included. He submitted this. Miskiff submitted this, that he had a notice on or about November 6, 2023, that he, from OTK, there's a notice of termination and repurchase. So he was already on notice. So trying to say that he had no notice literally goes against the own evidence that he submitted. I don't understand how stupid you can be and how hilariously dumb you can be to say, hey, I had no notice except for this letter where they already put me on notice for multiple instances. Let's read the language here. Reference to your course of misconduct, including multiple instances of unwanted physical contact and violence.
Brother.
So he was on notice for unwanted physical contact and violence. This is before the quote-unquote mounting of Emaru, which happened more recently. And this is, once again, as of January 24, 2025. So they already had this updated notice, and he's already was put on notice. And once again, let's read these comments, because these comments in and of themselves, which he previously made, would have been more than enough to terminate him. F streamers, F them all, F everybody, F FaZe Clan, F the fourth floor, F OTK, F everybody. I'm going to start being a solo streamer. I've never needed anybody. They needed me. First of all, how desperate is that? How beta is
that? I guess I can't really say anything here. I was going to make a statement here, but I don't know for sure whether it's a fact or not. But y'all have to let me know, where does he rank among the people in OTK as far as like how successful they are? Because I know he's not even close to FaZe Clan, because like so many people know FaZe Clan. But like, as far as like the people in network, like where's he rank? You know, like the people that we saw earlier. Like out of everybody, hold on, where's it at? Right here. So out of everybody here, hold on, out of everybody here, where does Miskiff rank as far as like, you know, how well he's doing as a content creator or a streamer, I should say? Where are we at here?
A lot of what was said was the tip of the iceberg. In fact, there's much more that people don't know about Miskiff that's going to come out. So all those naughty stories from those parties that he went to, once he had a notice on or about November 6, 2023, this literally goes against the own evidence that he says. Let's read the language here. Reference to your course of misconduct, which happened more recently. And this is, once again, as of January 24, 2025. So they already had this updated notice, and he's already was put on notice. And once again, let's read these comments, because these comments in and of themselves, which he previously made, would have been more than enough to terminate him. F streamers, F them all, F everybody, F FaZe Clan, F the fourth floor, F OTK, F everybody. I'm going to start being a solo streamer. I've never needed anybody. They needed me. First of all, how desperate is that? How beta is that? How soy is that? You don't need me. You need me. No, sorry. Nobody needs your tough, I can't even handle a plushy self, bro. That is more than enough to say, if you're saying F your company, for them to terminate you. That's more than enough. And then going on beyond that, saying OTK failed miserably. Nobody wanted to buy it. It didn't make sense for anyone to ever purchase OTK or to run and operate OTK. So now OTK is very small. Put together, this alone would have been enough. So he's already defeated, I think, a lot of that argument for declaratory and for breach of contract just by his own evidence, which once again, how many brain cells do you have? And lawyers are willing to file a lot of things, even if there's lack of a real strong, reasonable basis. And based on the short form of this lawsuit, it's very short. There's not a long lawsuit. These clips that I've got you on this in this short, fast facts are actually the beef of what's going on here. This is not much, but all of it that we see kind of weighs against Miskiff, which to me, it just boggles the mind. So my conclusion here, and this is something I'll go into more detail on my live. You can get into my live and jump in on that as well. But I think this is going to destroy Miskiff legally, financially, and reputationally. In fact, if he wanted to have a good case, he would have a better case against Gucci Marks for his kind of representation of him in the deep fake, etc. That would have been a better case. But this case against Asmongold, Emeru, OTK, Mythic, it's not going to do well. But on Mythic and OTK's side, I think they should release the contract in full text. Release the contract, like the Kraken. Just release it. It's going to come out in Discovery anyway, so we might as well get that contract. We might as well see, hey, what's the legal basis here? Because I guarantee you there's going to be a reasonable basis to terminate him. But the last thing I want to conclude on here is thank you for the infinite content, Miskiff. This is the Christmas gift come early, the Thanksgiving gift, and I am absolutely grateful for you for that. But guys, I want to know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch you on.
Absolute fucking W, man. Absolute W legal mindset. He stays on it, man. He stays on it, dude. Oh, man. You know what? I am going to add my 2 cents here. Not that he's ever going to see this comment, but imagine entering a lawsuit with someone as calculated oh my god, I butchered that. Holy smokes. As calculated as the cockroach king himself. I can't son of a face slam hard enough. Lamau. Oh, that's all the 2 cents I got in on this bullshit, dude. This is crazy. Imagine entering a lawsuit with someone as calculated as the cockroach king himself. I can't faceplam hard enough. Lamau. Yeah. Yep. I did see the Gucci Marks AI video, but unfortunately not gonna watch it. Already watched it through fucking Asmongold's stream because he watched it. So and I happened to be tuning in at the time. So yeah, that's an unfortunate one. That'd have been a good one to react to right after this. That'd have been a good like a little segue. But you know, we move. Sometimes you just don't get it. So, all right. Anime Affliction. First time react. First time checking out the video. We're talking about some intense stuff. So, lock in. Shit's going to get crazy here. Make sure we got that sucker in 4K.
What really goes through the mind of someone who truly hates themselves?
True.
One of the most resonant themes of A Silent Voice is self-punishing guilt, the self-loathing kind that made Shoya Ishida want to disappear forever. But what led to that moment is not often understood because it was actually a hidden defense mechanism, one where feeling bad wasn't the problem, but the price. Welcome to Rediscover, where we take a closer look at our favorite anime, and today we're trying to understand our unconscious addiction to pain before it costs us everything. There's something about Shoya's story that feels deeply familiar to me. A few years ago, my friend Steve contracted a rare illness that seriously wrecked his life. Steve was a guy who couldn't live without fun, kinda like Shoya when he was a kid. But when Steve got sick, just getting through each day was an immense struggle because he was constantly in excruciating pain. There was no cure for his illness and he couldn't find a way out.
Well, I think like something like that is a very dramatic shift in life, right? I think people often like structure and routine. So when something as serious as that happens, or you have to like, say you were, I mean, since we're literally on a beach right now, say you were surfing, you fucking lost an arm to a shark attack or something. Well, that's something that dramatically shifts your lifestyle. And some people, they claw their way back and they get that same life back and they have to, you know, go through a large adjustment period, but they make it back. And other people, they let it destroy the fabric of who they are. And those people are the ones who end up walking the route that I think we're about to go down.
And just like Shoya, he fell into deep depression. Every day, both Steve and Shoya had to answer one simple question: how do I make this pain go away? For Steve, it was a physical pain. For Shoya, it was the emotional pain of guilt and ostracism. But this is where it gets weird. I noticed that in trying to ease their pain, both of them ended up sinking deeper into it, getting stuck in what I call Shoya syndrome. It's basically a psychological loop where a person focuses on what's not working in their lives in an attempt to fix it, but ironically ends up getting stuck in a perpetual cycle of despair. That sounds heavy, but before we can unpack how this happened to Shoya, it's really important to...
I think, man, I'm going to be talking a lot. I think part of what this comes from is that, typically speaking, somebody in this situation likely has somebody who morally challenges their way of thinking, and they know that they should change, and it's the morally correct thing to do is change for the better, right? So they go through a cycle of wanting change and in some cases needing to change. But I've always found that change and maturity is not something you can force. It is something that happens. You wake up and you just do it. Like one day, your body, the action side of your brain just takes over and it says you're doing this today. And whatever your mental state has no bearing on that side of you in those moments. And that is where a new routine, a new habit, a new structure begins in your life. And then you wonder what the days were like when you think back on those times when you didn't have that, right? So I think it is partly due to self-destruction. I think it's also partly due to a want and desire to change, but them on an action standpoint not being connected with that mental state. So because of that disconnect is where the loop happens. You want it, you desire it, you try, you fail, you revert. And then you go in that same cycle over and over and over and over. And until the action side of that mental blockage is fixed, is achieved, then it breaks that cycle. And then all of a sudden, instead of a circle, it just becomes a straight line. And it goes right through that circle and it stops it. It cuts it off. And you now move forward. You move on.
Get one thing straight. It doesn't happen to Shoya. He actually chooses it himself. Let me
Yep.
explain. So I'm trained in this thing called choice theory, which was invented by a psychiatrist by the name of Dr. William Glasser. According to Dr. Glasser, emotions follow behavior and not the other way around. That means we don't just feel emotions, we generate them through the behaviors we choose. In
Yep.
Shoya's situation, depression isn't so much something that happens to him as much as something that he does.
Boy. Dude. I'm so excited to talk about this because this is such a common misconception with people who I'm gonna let it cook. I'm gonna let it cook and then I'll tell you my thoughts.
Dr. Glasser calls this the act
My
of
God,
depressing
dude.
or doing depressive behavior. And that makes sense because if you think about Shoya's depression before he reconnected with Shoko, we realize that his rumination is an action and avoiding people is an action too. But that doesn't mean Shoya was intentionally choosing his misery. What he was choosing directly were his actions and thoughts which led to those miserable feelings. Not
Yep.
because he was a masochist, but because depressing gave him better control over his life than whatever else he could have thought of in that situation. But why would anyone choose to depress if it makes them feel so miserable? Dr. Glasser identified 3 logical reasons that covers all kinds of depression, anxiety, and even phobias. The 3 reasons are to restrain anger, to signal distress, and to avoid difficult actions. Firstly, depressing helped Shoya to restrain his anger at his schoolmates and avoid lashing out at them in violence. Instead, he quietly judged them in his head and applied X's across their faces. Secondly, Shoya's antisocial behavior might have been an unconscious plea for help, but almost no one paused long enough to think twice about his reclusive behavior. In fact, this also explains why Shoya ended up asking Shoko to be friends by accident, because he was desperately seeking friendship and it just came out naturally. And lastly, throughout the entire time Shoya was depressing, he avoided taking the difficult action of reconnecting with other people. But here's where Dr. Glasser gets shockingly accurate, and you might want to take note because it might save a life. Like seriously. Dr. Glasser says, if a person who is depressing strongly suddenly stops depressing, but it doesn't look like he had a good reason to stop since nothing had changed in his life, then that person may have decided to end their life. So for people who have been depressing for a long time, therapists are always on the lookout if they are suddenly feeling better because they may now be thinking,
Yep, feeling better from nothing is like the biggest concern for a lot of different things. Because it's not like it's not to be treated like an illness, right? It's not to be medicated and forced out of somebody's system. It's something that you yourself, through psychology, need to tackle on your own, right? And the most that you can do as somebody outside of an individual who is orbiting them is recognize the signs and help steer them towards the right direction without trying to force the outcome. The minute you force the outcome, they could reclude even more. You could push them to essentially to speed up the process, to hyper accelerate, right? And if you want something that is similar to this, when somebody has given up and decided to end their life and all of a sudden they're happy, it's because there is a massive sense of relief. You can equate this to the scenario where somebody is, say they're very old, say they're 90 years old, they've been withering away. All of a sudden, for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, all of a sudden they're feeling great. Their fucking body is somehow insanely energetic. Their skin is full of life and their brain is firing at max capacity. And for those few brief hours, they're undefeated. It's a similar scenario. It is that final energetic burst before death. And it's tough. It's tough. It's tough for a lot of people to go through because if you don't understand what it is, then it gives you a false hope. Oh, they might get better. You know, it's like they'll be okay. They'll wake up. They'll walk it off, right? When in reality, it's not what it is, right? It's just that last burst of energy. It's that last little bit that the body has left before it gives up completely. And that's tough. Oh, it's tough. There's a lot of people, they don't understand it. And this is a similar situation, right? But for somebody like this, it is a wash of relief. That is where the energy comes from. Their body and their brain no longer have to run in overtime to manage all of these weird, quirky, restrictive rules that they set for themselves in their own mind in order to maintain some semblance of autonomy. When they decide this, and it is their final decision, and their intent is to make it all go away, that wash of relief releases dopamine, it releases adrenaline, it releases all these different chemicals that allow you to essentially achieve 100% capacity until it's time. And it's crazy. It's a crazy feeling. And it's unfortunately a feeling that can be repeated if you are talking to a therapist and instead of helping you deal with an issue, navigate the issue, and improve your life, they simply have you talk about the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and they bring it up over and over and over. I want you to get the fuck away from that therapist. Get the fuck away from them. That therapist is only there to sell you medication. They're only there to keep you in that fucking chair because they can farm you for money. The way that I've always told it is that a good therapist is one that has no clients. Because that means that they have steered these people toward the direction that they need to go to further better their life. And that doesn't mean that the person can't, schedule an appointment just to, fill them in and say, hey, man, my life's been going good. I got a brand new car. I just fucking put a down payment on my house. I got a beautiful baby girl on the way or something. Those are the appointments that you as a therapist should be striving for, right? So as somebody who has studied psychology, I'm looking at these people, right? And I'm seeing these therapists, like I'll see them on TikTok every once in a while. They'll put videos out and they'll talk about, like clips of them kind of giving their reasoning for things. And it makes me sick to my stomach because it clearly shows that they don't have the client's interest in mind. And it's fucking terrible because those are people that could lead you down this type of a road and accelerate the behavior of which you would choose death over life.
Of suicide. The pain of restraining their anger has become so great that many people decide it's not worth living anymore and turn the anger towards themselves. But if we really want to understand someone who is depressing, we have to go beyond the why to the how and understand how Shoya syndrome works. In this 6-step cycle, stage 1 is the trigger event, where the person is triggered by a memory or a situation that reminds them of their guilt. These events are often linked to social rejection, public exposure, or reminders of personal failure. This automatically moves Shoya to the self-reflection stage, where he starts to think about his guilt. Obsessive rumination takes over, and he is repeatedly reminded of his cruelty towards Shoko. Thoughts like, it's no use, it's my own fault, I haven't been punished enough, fill his mind, and he is basically watching himself fail again and again with no forgiveness. And what was originally a single unfortunate season in his early years goes through emotional amplification in stage 3 and morphs into a catastrophic failure. This is where Shoya's thoughts really start to spiral out of control. Shame, guilt, and regret all fuse together in one overwhelming emotional state. Emotional memory overrides factual memory, and the original event is magnified far beyond its actual impact. Shoya begins to feel like he alone ruined Shoko's life beyond redemption. And when this cognitive distortion occurs for long enough, this naturally pushes Shoya into stage 4, negative identity formation. Now things get really bad when Shoya stops thinking, I did something wrong, and starts believing, I am what's wrong. His identity becomes fused with moral failure. I am damaged. I hurt people, I don't deserve happiness. Shoya even believed that he didn't deserve to smile when Shoko smiled at him because it would trivialize all the hurt and suffering he caused her. This negative identity paralyzed him whenever he tried to talk to Shoko, and that's also probably why he didn't pick up on Shoko's confession. Yeah, I know, a male protagonist has got to be a bit dense to keep things interesting, but it's also pretty realistic.
Well, I think that was more so like a growth thing for her because she couldn't like properly like mouth the words, and she didn't want to do it in sign language because it's a big moment, right? When you're doing a confession like that, you definitely want to go the extra mile because it's a very important moment in your life. And the fact that she couldn't do it and he didn't understand her, granted, you know, as dense as he is, I think that's more so a moment for her and less of a moment for him.
Because Shoya thought of himself as a horrible person, and never in his wildest dreams could he ever imagine that the girl he bullied would ever fall for him. And a lot of his struggles we see have to do with undoing the effects of stage 5, which is avoidance.
But to be fair, I'm not discounting his point. I mean, there's several parts in the movie that he could have swapped in for that same exact fucking scenario.
And isolation. This stage right here is the metaphorical anchor that drags Shoya down and keeps him stuck in the cycle. And the irony is that he chooses it himself because it offers him a sense of safety from the harsh world out there. Eye contact, conversation, and even...
Yeah, somebody like this has absolutely destroyed their self-worth. Like, this is the type of person that doesn't even see them as the worm in the dirt. Like, you want to talk about self-esteem, they don't even know what the fuck that means. It's a very self-destructive cycle, man. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that's like very hard to pick up on. Especially like nowadays with like how busy people are, like pretty much every 2-parent household I know of, no one stays home, right? Which is why, like, I think it's a detriment that women aren't able to be at-home mothers anymore, because women are supposed to be the emotionally connected parent, right? And this is why, like, this is why they're susceptible to any, like, you see a video online of like a dog and it's like limping because it hurt its leg. 99% of the comments in there are going to be women. because it triggers them emotionally, right? So when you have a kid that's going through emotional distress, the person who is likely to pick up on that is the mom. But if the mom is insanely busy, which if you guys watch the movie, both Shoko's mom and his own mom were incredibly busy. They're single mothers. They're doing everything they can to protect and provide for their own home with no male figure around, right? And I mean, in Shoko's mother's case, Shoko had a younger sibling, but even then, that still doesn't replace a father, right? So without the father taking that burden in order for the mother to be more at home and acutely aware of mood changes, of dialogue changes, of emotional changes in the child, to be able to raise to the father and come up with a plan to like help him navigate these type of scenarios and situations, right? It's going to be tough, right? It's going to be very tough. So it's kind of like it's an unfortunate storm that is going to be very hard for somebody who doesn't know how to navigate it to get out. But it's not impossible.
Casual connection feel dangerous to Shoya, and he develops a kind of hyper-vigilance which makes people seem threatening even when they're not. He chooses the pain of loneliness and self-condemnation only because it feels safer and more comforting than the potential pain of further.
I was going to bring this up earlier. I'm glad I let him cook, because this is exactly, once you've done this for so long and you're in the cycle, a good example of this is Machine Gun Kelly and NF. These are two very famous examples of this, right? Definitely more so Machine Gun Kelly. You'll like, NF is pretty public about the kind of emotional state that he's been in for a long time. But Machine Gun Kelly is much more public, much more raw. So I mean, you can add on everything. I mean, he's talked about his suicidal attempts. He's talked about his drug abuse, right? So if you want two real world famous examples that most people will probably know, it would be Machine Gun Kelly and NF. These are two very, prominent people in their field, and they are very much a good example of this exact cycle. And they both dealt with it in different ways.
The judgment, rejection, or betrayal. So instead of repairing relationships, he avoids them altogether. I think one of the reasons A Silent Voice has grown so popular is because this problem of avoidance and isolation has only grown more severe with the growing use of social media. Cancel culture and online shaming are creating modern versions of Shoya's experience. People locking themselves in self-imposed social isolation due to past mistakes. A 2021 report by the Pew Research Center on the state of online harassment found that 64% of American adults under 30 have experienced some form of online harassment, with 75% of that number having faced more severe forms of abuse, including physical threats, stalking, and sexual harassment. As they say, social...
This is why, like, you as a school system, you need to be adapting to the times, right? We're not at an age anymore where you can simply pass a kid through on the bullshit courses that we take nowadays. Like why the fuck are we teaching kids how to do why are we teaching kids music theory? Why? And granted, like, that's mainly an elective in most schools, right? But like, why are we teaching them that? Why are we teaching kids calculus? Right, calculus is something that they can learn in college. Why are we teaching them that in high school? Like that's not a necessary thing. Right? You need to be teaching these kids necessary things. Why is there study halls? That's another one I didn't even think about. Why the fuck is there study halls? Like, you're talking about like a fucking hour and a half of absolutely fucking nothing? What the fuck? Fuck no. They're kids. They're kids. Why are they getting a study hall break? What the fuck is this bullshit? Those are the times where you teach them about taxes. Those are the times when you teach them about propaganda, right? And what to look for, right? Your goal should be getting kids to be intelligent in every aspect, to have critical thinking skills and common sense. And the only way that you could do that is by preparing them for things that they are going to face when they leave school. And one of those courses could be online safety. It could be the do's and don'ts of online etiquette, right? Don't be fucking doxing people. Don't be harassing people. The way you maintain your life in everyday society should be how you maintain your life on the internet. But I think we got to the point to where we let these people get away with this toxic bullshit on the internet, and it has done irreparable damage to young people.
Social media never forgets, and this fear of permanent judgment that one's actions will haunt them forever is exactly what we see in Shoya's case. With increased avoidance and isolation comes reinforcement of negative beliefs, and that's what we see in the final stage of the cycle, reconfirmation.
Yeah, they never let you live it down, bro. So, the only person who breaks this cycle, though, unfortunately, is him. But we're about to get into that part.
There are two things happening here in this last stage that turns the Shoya syndrome into a vicious cycle. There's the lack of positive feedback and the reinforcement of a negative identity, both of which are two sides of the same coin. Shoya's isolation removes any chance of a genuine friend coming along to encourage him. At the same time, the silence and distance become a kind of distorted evidence that Shoya is fundamentally unlovable. This stage is both painful and perversely comforting because Shoya feels it's right and just that he is alone because of what is done. He accepts it as his lot in life and believes there are some things in this world you just can't attain, until the next trigger event comes along to plunge him into another round of endless despair. The scary thing is that this kind of self-perpetuating despair could start in many different ways. For Shoya, it was the guilt he carried from bullying Shoko. For some of us, it could be a breakup with a romantic partner or being stuck in a job that we really hate. For Steve, it was the loss of his health and freedom, which he felt he could never recover. As he spiraled further into depression, Steve began talking about suicide as a way to end his pain once and for all.
So, bit of a personal example. Since he's using one, I'll also use one. Changing the name of this person, we'll call them George. So, I had a friend of mine, and we were roommates for a while, and we got to the point to where being irresponsible fucking early 20-year-olds, we were just like, oh fuck, shit, we're gonna get kicked out. So, we helped each other out. We fucking got everything packed up, and I moved away, and he moved away, and he moved back with his family all the way down in Alabama. Well, the problem with his family is it was kind of this situation where they didn't really think of him as anyone important. They didn't think of him as anyone worth considering. And every single day was just another day of torture, another day of, oh, stupid idiot. What a fucking idiot, George. Oh, George the retard. And it was a constant everyday reminder. And then, you know, we had talked for a little while. It'd probably been like, I don't know, 4 months probably. And he calls me one day. I'm in the middle of fucking work. I'm just fucking, you know, I've been grinding, right? And he tells me that he's gonna fucking end himself. He said he has to go home every day and he just gets tortured. And he told me about, you know, his personal situation. So I told him 3 things. I told him 3 things. I said, 1, there's nothing wrong with you. I said, 2, I'll allow you to kill yourself if you get a 6-pack first. Go to the gym. You have to get a 6-pack abs. 3, you have to move. You can't stay there. You have to move. That friend now calls me, I don't know, about every month or so. And they thank me for saving their life. Now, keep in mind, like, this person I've known for a long time, right? I'd fucking die for that motherfucker. And goddamn, are they a fucking retard. But the difference between me and his family is that I give him 95% of just pure fucking love, man. I got all the love in the world for him. But there's always that 5% of bullying, right? Gotta keep him humble. But for his family, it was the opposite. There was no positive reinforcement. There was no, like, self-esteem booster at all. It was just constant degradation every single day, right? Every single day. And after enough time, you believe it. You know, his whole family is a family of fuck-ups, and they were trying to drag him into their same fuck-up world. So I made him change 3 things. I gave him 1 positive reinforcement, and he took that as an example, and he started giving himself positive reinforcement, which I think is critical for somebody in this position. 2, I gave him a challenge that was not easy to achieve, so he couldn't take it the easy way out. You know? If I would have told him to go eat a fucking box of Twinkies, you think that would have fucking helped any? No, he would have ate the box of Twinkies and hung himself. So I gave him an insanely difficult task that left him with responsibility and accountability to achieve said task, and a goal, which is like the most important part, is the fact that it's a goal, it is a purpose. And then the last part was change of environment. That friend moved to Colorado. He now lives not that far away from me. I can go visit him. And you know, they're doing great in their job. They're getting good money, right? It's fantastic. It's good to see. It's good to see them that they've become not exactly, you know, the most responsible person, right? But they're making progress. So in those situations, I think that's a very important thing to do, right? 1, do not demean them. Do not try to talk them out of their position. Start it off with a compliment. Secondly, you give them purpose. You give them something that is incredibly difficult to do, and it is not something easily achieved. Because that will give them self-worth. And the only person in the world that they didn't want to disappoint was you. That's why they called you. So you give them a purpose, you give them positivity, and you suggest that they remove themselves from the very thing that is trying to convince them that they are worth less than dirt. That's the lesson I want you guys to take away from this.
A kind of learned helplessness set in, where repeated negative trigger events made him give up and believe he was powerless to change his situation. So what could Steve and Shoya do in a situation like that? Let me know your personal experiences in the comments, but for me, I think the key to breaking out of the Shoya syndrome lies in stages 2 and 5. When someone is at stage 2, the self-reflection stage, the temptation is to ruminate about past mistakes. The problem is, rumination tricks us into thinking we are solving a problem when it's actually trapping us in guilt. So instead of focusing on the past, Dr. Glasser suggests we take ownership of.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? You give them purpose. Something that is not easy to achieve. That you have to actually gain self-worth in order to achieve. That's why the 6-pack is a really good one.
Our present by focusing on what we can control now. Real change takes action, so instead of feeling guilty about the past or anxious about the future, we should ask, what can I do right now? In therapy, Dr. Glasser might ask, what do you want and what are you doing to get it? The goal is not confession or guilt, but action and reconnection with others. We see this in Thor in Avengers Endgame, where he is initially wallowing in self-blame for his failure to stop Thanos, and it isn't until Professor Hulk and Rocket pay him a visit that Thor decides to channel his guilt into more meaningful action. Thor doesn't erase his past mistakes because that's not how time travel works, but he makes peace with them by making better choices in the present. For Shoya, it was Shoko who gave him the hope to live on. This is why it's so important for people stuck in the avoidance and isolation stage to get out there and reconnect with people who can offer them hope and encouragement.
See what I'm saying? The reason that they called you is because you were the only person that they didn't want to disappoint. When they are on the edge, they're going to think about the person that they care the most. And your opinion, you responding to them the wrong way, is the make it or break it to that situation. But I don't want you to blame yourself, because there are situations that, no matter what you say, it's the final. I want you to think of it as the final cry for help, because there are people who, you could do your best, but it's unfortunate, right? But for many of them, 95% of them, I would even argue 99% of them, it is the final cry for help, the last final words, the last beacon that they're looking for. So remember this video, remember what I said, because everything here has reflected what I have given you, right? This is my advice. My advice. Give them purpose. Say something positive. Suggest a change of environment. And if you're well off enough, you can help facilitate this. And you can say, hey, I got a spare bedroom, man. You just want to come crash for a few days? You just want to come hang out? Something, anything. You need to get them out of that environment. Reconnect them to a world of which they have already thrown out because they feel they are unworthy of being in it. It's so, so, so important, right? Positivity, purpose, environment. Key things to think about. So if you ever get that call, you got to give them those, right? Do not demean them. Do not yell at them. Do not fucking try to talk them down from their position, right? Just give them those 3 things. I know if they call you and they say, man, I'm such a piece of shit, dude. I shouldn't be on this planet, bro. I'm going to fucking kill myself. You say, no, you are worthy. You're loved. I love you. I appreciate you. Right? And then you say, okay, you're going to kill yourself. Fine. But you have to get a 6-pack abs. 6-pack abs. You have to go to the fucking gym every single day. And you have to get a 6-pack. And then I'll allow you to kill yourself. You've given them purpose. You've given them positivity. And then you say, hey, man, listen, where you're at doesn't seem like it's great for you. You know? Why don't you move? Why don't you move here? It's a lot cheaper than where you're at now. It's going to be much easier for you to just simply live your life, right? I'm not that far away. I'd come see you. We can come hang out. You know, you can come hang out. I'd come see you. You know, we can chill. Right? A change of environment. I knew that him being with his family was the worst thing for him. But I didn't have the means to just move him up here and have him live with me. But I put it in his head that if he was here and he was close, I'll come over. I'll come hang out. Chill like the good old days, you know? And I think that's so, so, so important. And going through that journey is usually enough for them to figure out how to break that cycle. Because you have to think of it as going 90% of the way, like helping them get 90% of the way. And then the 10%, that final 10% that fully breaks the cycle, that they never even think about, they look back on it and they're like, what the fuck was I thinking? That final 10% is all them. You can help them get to the point, but to fully break through that cycle, that's on them. They have to do it. You are simply there as the guardrails to kind of keep them from doing the thing that will hurt everyone they ever knew. That's it. That's what it comes down to.
As Shoya tells Tomohiro in chapter 33, seeing Nishimiya again made me want to change. And with the support of his wife and family, my friend Steve also decided to put rumination aside and take positive action. He started looking for alternative treatments and accepted help from his family to try out new medications.
Absolutely.
He even took up new hobbies, and eventually, Steve enjoyed his new hobby so much that he decided to turn his newfound passion into a business where he now brings joy to others by bringing people together in a thriving community of hobby enthusiasts.
And I guarantee you, him in this video and other people around him that gave him positivity, he eventually was able to adjust his mindset. And when he adjusted his mindset, he found a purpose. And that hobby of his got him out of his environment. His environment could be something as simple as being depressed in his fucking bedroom. But he could come out to an office and hop on and record a video. And that's enough purpose to alter his mindset to think differently. because now his body's kicking in and the body's saying no. Physically, his body is saying, no, you can't die yet. You got stuff to do. Right?
And that's the beautiful irony of A Silent Voice, a film where people are not only the greatest source of pain, but also the greatest source of joy. Something that Shoya discovers as he reconnects with his former classmates is that healing itself isn't a reward, but
Bro, when the X's came off, oh, brother, when the X's came off, my whole body, my hair was standing on end. I had goosebumps, man. This fucking movie destroyed me emotionally. Absolutely destroyed me. It was nuts. And I have never, ever captured this feeling from any other form of media ever. No other animes, no other fucking TV shows, no movies, no fucking nothing on YouTube, nothing. And I've watched so many like incredibly heavy things that would break any person. And this is the only one that absolutely broke down any semblance of structure I had in my brain. I mean, it just fucking destroyed me. And I think in a way, it was also very impactful for me to change as a person. Because it's one of those things like I'll never not see this movie in the absolute 10 out of fucking no. That's not even right. Billion out of 10 rating that it is for me.
the choice. His
On a
turning point
personal
came
level.
not when he was forgiven, but when he chose to stop hiding and start living. By taking small, deliberate actions, Shoya
Yep.
realized that true growth comes from accepting responsibility for personal change while refusing to
Yep.
be imprisoned by guilt.
Fucking
Shoya
W.
reminds us that we cannot erase the past. All the bad stuff we've done or tragedies that befell us will always live with us. And some problems will continue to haunt us even as new problems show up along the way. Even till the end of the movie and the manga, some people were still judging Shoya and the group of friends still had their differences. But
Yep.
that didn't matter to Shoya anymore because he realized that there are some things you just can't change. I know that all too well. I think it's the time you spend trying to change that's more important. And before you know it, the Shoya syndrome will be a thing of the past as well. This video is part of my running anthology called Kill Annie in My Heart. So if you've enjoyed this one, then you're gonna love this one right here.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, it's one of the best videos I've seen in a long time. Bro, go, hey, 4K? Go get this man some subs, bro. All the likes, all the subs, share it, comment, everything. Man. What an absolutely beautiful and stunning video. A big shout out to you, my friend. I hope you all the best in gaining even more success from this channel and the messages it represents. Yeah. What an absolutely beautiful and stunning video. A big shout out to you, my friend. I hope you all the best in gaining even more success from this channel and the messages it represents. Fuck. This is fucking, oh my god, this is one of the best YouTube videos I've seen in a long time. It's like watching a fucking movie, literally. Oh man, that's awesome. That's going to be it for this video, though. I mean, wow. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys want me to check out some more Anime Affliction. And if you've made it 3 hours in, we're going to have to leave the rest of these for another day. I'm not going to keep doing these freaking 3 hour fucking long ass videos. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and end it on this. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, shout out to Anime Affliction. Go give them all the love, man. Like, subscribe, comment on this video as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.